TNA Wrestling crossed that line again as a live Impact has come to an end with a serious Bound for Glory implications. We're going to get into it all on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. But first things first, go and check out my interview with Frankie Kazarian, who is in the playlists. They're below. If you go special guest interviews, go and get it and have a look at some TNA interview with Frankie Kazarian, who's given an idea of what he's doing next, and it even was confirmed on TNA Impact this week. First things first, let's get into it. Santino Marella announced the match for Bound for Glory for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. It is going to be Trick Williams, and it is going to be against Mike Santana. The match that we thought was happening, the match that I predicted would happen, with the ending that I hope predict, which will be Santana bringing home the glory and bringing home the gold at Bound for Glory. Will it happen? Of course, you'll have to find out in October, on October the 12th, which you can see on the TNA Plus app. But get it downloaded, get subscribed, and get that championship package to watch it all. But that was the big announcement from Santino Marella, that will indeed happen at Bound for Glory. So we're hoping to see Mike Santana win the gold. Moose even wants to see it. He wishes Santana good luck backstage on this one. And the one person that didn't like the announcement and certainly didn't wish Santana good luck was AJ Francis, and that set up a match for next week's Impact, which will see Santana face AJ Francis. He did also mention, Santino Marella, that the next time we see Trick Williams would indeed be at Bound for Glory. At least that's the next time he's going to be competing in a TNA ring. I'm not sure I like that as the champion. You know, that is a month or so away. I'm not sure that I like the whole champion will go away for a month. I know it happens. It happens everywhere. Cody Rhodes has been away in WWE, but yeah, I just think for me, it's far better if, Trick's at least there. But if he's not going to be there, then it's going to be a month's time before we see him again. And hopefully in that month, Santana will indeed pick up the gold. But he has to get through AJ Francis next week, of course. Talking of Frankie Kazarian, again, he was on our podcast this week. Big thanks to TNA UK and TNA for sending him along. He had actually quite a nice conversation with him. But he was in action this week against Matt Cardona. And in fact, before this match happened, the insufferable Ryan Nemeth come out and let everybody know that his brother Nick would be returning on this week's show. His second suspension or whatever it may be. But Nick Nemeth would be returning at some point on Impact. Funnily enough, Cardona just said, well, your brother sucks, and bopped Ryan on the head before having a really solid match with Frankie Kazarian. I actually really enjoyed this. Frankie Kazarian he's still so good. I see on another interview this week, he was obviously doing the media rounds, that he mentioned wanting another match with AJ Styles, and I would love that. I think, Frankie he's a veteran, but boy, oh boy, can he still go in the ring. He is one of the best. And this match was great. I mean, Ryan Nemeth jumped up at the apron near the end, and Cardona did hit him with the radio silence, and that's when he got caught in the fade to black, and Kazarian picked up a win. A very competitive match, really good. I like these two. This was like a television main event match, and it was the opening contest on Impact this week. I will stress that there was quite a bit of talking this week on Impact. With it being a live show, I could probably understand it, but I think in the future, if they start doing them more regularly, then we need to see more action than talking. I will say that. But the matches that are on were great. We just didn't have enough of them, unfortunately. I think I said that the last live Impact, that there was just too much talking, but I have to go and rewind and have a look. But I'm pretty sure I said that before. Anyway, Gia Miller wanted to interview Kazarian at the end of this. Kazarian fluffs her away, but took the mic and interviewed himself, really. And bottom line, like I mentioned to him on the podcast, because I said 2 weeks ago you defeated Jake something. Jake something was a contender for the international title held by Steve Macklin. And I mentioned to Kaz that, hey, is that an option? And he basically said he wanted the TNA World Championship, but he did mention that if along the way he gets a chance at the International Championship, that he would take it. That's exactly what happened. Kazarian um, has basically laid out the challenge to Macklin, but he did it in an insulting way. He insulted Macklin's um military, sorry, I couldn't get the words out, military background, and that led to Macklin chasing Kaz off. And you don't, you know, there's a lot of people you don't want to piss off in TNA. Macklin is one of those people that you just don't want to piss off. And Kaz went away of doing it. And maybe at Victory, could it be at Victory Road on the 26th, or could it be at Bound for Glory? But where we're going with this is Kaz could well be, or could well be going for that international championship. Someone who has got a championship, though, she won it at NXT's Heatwave. That is Ash by Elegance. And we were treated to an Elegance Brand celebration. Of course we were. Custom champagne. There was elegance in a bowl. But and she actually called herself the savior of TNA. And to be honest, I mean, she did go into NXT's backyard and reclaim that Knockouts Championship. Hard to disagree with Ash, really. I know people may, but I'm sitting here thinking, well, she's done what nobody else has gone and done. And like I said to Kazarian, it is about time that someone from TNA walked into the NXT roster or an NXT show and nicked one of their belts and brought it back to the Impact Zone. That's what I would think we need to do. But it's hard to disagree with what Ash has said because nobody else has gone to NXT and brought back home a TNA championship. However, she did go as far as insulting former TNA Knockouts champion Masha Slamovich. And you don't really, again, like I said with Cass about pissing off Macklin, you don't really want to piss off Masha Slamovich. But she did. And that made Slamovich hit the ring, and she was 3-on-1. She was really, short. But out comes Xia Brookside, who, by the way, was on NXT this week against Candice LeRae in a speed match. Very good outing for Xia Brookside, showing you what she can do on a WWE stage. Tremendous for her. And she was accompanied by Lei Ying Lee as well to even up the odds. And then, just when the Elegance Brand was holding them off, the Inspiration come out, and they again, all the baby faces then prevailed, and the Elegance people, the Elegance Brand, hightailed it. Obviously, the Inspiration still wanting those Knockouts championships, but Ash will have her first defense. Maybe she'll defend it before, but it's looking like she'll have her first defense at Victory Road. In fact, she will have her first defense of it at Victory Road, and it's going to be, well, say first event, she will be defending the Knockouts Championship at Victory Road, and it will be against Masha Slamovich. Now, they did point out during the broadcast that match would happen, and the winner of that match will go on to face the winner of the Knockouts Triple Threat match, which is later on in the card. So, from all intents and purposes, with that in mind, I don't see Ash defending a Knockouts Championship before Victory Road because they've kind of made out the winner of that match takes on the winner of the Knockouts Triple Threat match, which we'll get to. So, yeah, I think safe bet to say her first defense will be against Masha at Victory Road in 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks time. Yeah, one of the two. 2 weeks actually time. we're looking forward to that one. That should be a great match. Should be a great show as well. Victory Road. A little bit of an injury report from TNA. Some good news and some bad news. The bad news: JDC's got a head injury and he's still out. The good news is Mara Sade was cleared. Now, if you remember last week, she literally got decapitated by Agent Zero, and she's in the main event on TNA. So it's good to see her cleared. The Rascals are cleared. Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, both cleared to compete. So hopefully the Rascals will be back to full strength. Obviously, Myron Reed's done very, very well with deputizing for Trey Miguel. So be interesting to see if he stays as a member of the Rascals. And Trick Williams shows no sign of injury, even though he's still complaining about the attack on him at the end of the tag match. So Trick doing his very best, isn't he, to not get involved in any of the action. And it seems to be working by the sounds of it, which is a bit of a shame because, you are TNA heavyweight champion. And the heavyweight champion don't normally, I want to say be a chicken shit, but Trick's kind of doing his best not to wrestle before then. But anyway, Mustafa Ali, just had a quick one, said premises that anyone that opposes Order 4 will be shut down, and that includes the system. So it looks like Order 4 in the system, we're going to see some more of that stuff, which is interesting. Agent Zero seems to be the main man at the minute from the system, for Order 4, sorry, and he's looking to take people out. We'll see if he does, coming up real soon. But I mentioned just a minute ago that the winner of the Knockouts Triple Threat match will take on the winner of Ash by Elegance and Masha Slamovich at Bound for Glory. And this was Jody Fret. This was Danu, and maybe improved, I don't know, Dani Luna against, in a triple threat with Indi Hartwell. Now, my prediction all along on this channel, and you can go back across many of these review shows, is that Indi Hartwell will be the Knockouts champion at the end of Bound for Glory. After a thrilling Knockouts triple threat match, I can say that she has indeed got that opportunity. There was a load of small package pinfalls and whatnot, and she managed to do a quick roll up to get the victory on Jody Fret. However, that being said, Dani Luna decides that she's not very happy with that and attacked Indi Hartwell at the end of the match. Now, I don't know where we're going to go with this. But what I do know is Dani Luna is brilliant. I think she is one of the best singly. I mean, she was good in a tag team with Jody Fret for sure. But, her on her own, she had some great matches in the UK with people like Alex Windsor, who's now on another channel. She's done really, really well in those sorts of matches. And I just think that, as a single, this heel persona that she's doing here, it's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. And I tell you what, I think she's a shoo-in for a Knockouts championship. I would say maybe in 2026, Dani Luna will win the Knockouts championship. I really do believe that. And yeah, that's where I think. Anyway, do you agree? By all means, tell us and let us know where you feel. But Dani Luna, for me, is the one that will break out so much, in my view, next year. But as I said, it was such a good freeway. And I think all three of these are probably the best three that in the knockouts, right? Ash by Elegance aside, of course. But yeah, I really do think these three are the best knockouts in the division right now. And Indi Hartwell is definitely the most over. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, I think we will see that Indi Hartwell will maybe, or the other thing that could happen at Bound for Glory is Tessa Blanchard returning and preventing Indi Hartwell from winning the Knockouts Championship and thus going in that direction with it. Or she could be first in line for an opportunity against Indi Hartwell. Not quite sure how to get to it. They've got some unfinished business. Whether Tessa costs her the championship at Bound for Glory or whether she's the first opponent as Indi as champion will remain to be seen. But it's interesting. Now, remember, Joe Hendry got cleansed last week. And He come back this week. He referenced his victory over the Miz on the WWE European tour. That he was there. He was part of the European tour, indeed, beating the Miz, and the crowd still believe in Joe Hendry, that's for sure. But he's called out Eric Young, and he wanted to basically fight Eric Young there and then. But it's not happening. It's happening next week on TNA Impact, and yeah, the match happens on EY's terms, and EY's terms is next week. So we'll get to see that next week, which is good. I'm looking forward to it. Eric Young, one of the best veterans in the business, and Joe Hendry is, still not quite there in terms of, I don't think still quite come down from losing the TNA Heavyweight Championship, mind you. So he want to get back into contention without a doubt. But now, Leon Slater, Santino Marella backstage, and Santino said he's got a lot of Slater. Sorry, says to Santino, "Hey, I've got a load of opponents in mind for his X Division Championship challenge." And Marella says that he'll figure something out for next week on Impact. So Leon will be wrestling next week in a championship challenge match. Be interesting to see what that is or who that is. Who that's going to be. But quickly before the main event, so the matches, the championship matches that have been announced for Bound for Glory, or there is only championship matches that have been announced. Ash by Elegance or Masha Slamovich will take on, of course, Indi Hartwell. The Hardys will face the Dudleys for the TNA Championship. Now, from what I gather on tonight's tapings, because obviously they're taping Impact tonight, they're going to do some form of stipulation or discuss that match for Bound for Glory. Could it be losing team retires, fully retires? Leave that one up to you guys. We'll find out what happens in the weeks to come on Impact. And of course, Trick Williams, Mike Santana for the TNA Gold. Main event time. Hardys against Hardys with Mara Sade, of course, in this one. Obviously, Mara Sade last week got taken out. They were going against the Good Hands or the Great Hands, who, by the way, Frankie Kazarian really did big up on our interview with him. So again, it's in the playlist below. Go and check it out. And Tasha Steelz. We'll talk about the end of the match was their Swanton Bomb on John Schuyler for the victory. I would say it was a little bit sloppy in the main event, but it was a decent one. I did like Masha Sade and the Hardys, actually. I thought they made a really good team, together in this. And the Great Hands are still the Great Hands. I totally agree with what Frankie Kazarian said in his interview with us. And, Tasha Steelz is ever improving. There was a couple of sloppy moments in the main event, but by any stretch of the imagination, it was still a good main event, that's for sure. But it really was what happened at the end of Impact. The returning Nick Nemeth attacks the Hardy Boys. And indeed, poor bloody Myra Slade. She gets decapitated last week with a clothesline from Agent Zero. And this week she takes a super kick by Nick Nemeth. But, nevertheless, Nick is back. And I think he's got revenge on his mind for the Hardy Boys. That is for certain. I actually thought the show was good tonight. A little bit too much talking, but, that is what it is. What I will say about it is Indi Hartwell, I think it was the biggest highlight of her getting the win and kind of getting closer to that dream. I'm liking what they're doing with all the four in the system. They're taking their time with it. They're not rushing into this. And it's a really good thing. And I like that. I like the fact it's not just let's just get on with it. The build for it is going really, really well. And I'm up for that. I'm up for that as a match as well. But I'm also very up for the way in which TNA are doing this. They're just taking their nice. Whether it's something happens at Victory Road and that leads to Bound for Glory, I don't know. But it's very good that they're taking the time with it. And of course, I am looking forward to the Joe Hendry Eric Young match next week. The cleanse could begin as well. So yeah, I'm looking in for that. And there's so much more coming next week, of course, on TNA. But really solid episode. Love the live stuff. Hope they do more of it. Hopefully, we'll get some news coming up nearer the time for Bound for Glory about any distribution deal. But in the meantime, don't forget to download TNA Plus, the TNA Plus app. Get it downloaded, get it subscribed, and get watching. Now, again, there's options. You can, if you just want to watch Impact every week, there is the standard monthly package that you can just, which will just give you Impact. You can buy the pay-per-view separately as and when they happen. Or, of course, you can buy the championship package like me, and that gives you every Impact. That gives you all the pay-per-views and access to the TNA archives. It's up to you guys, but I would absolutely download it and get subscribed. But we'll be back next week for you TNA fans with another review of TNA. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.